Stop before you spend another cent or overlook that old jar of coins. You need to see this. Welcome to Vintage Universe Coin, the only place where history meets high-stakes fortune. We aren't just looking at old metal. We are hunting for the ghosts of the mint, those legendary 1860 and 1861 Civil War Indian head cents with the ultra-rare value superimposed errors that are making collectors rich overnight. Stick with us as we unlock the vault of the vintage universe. Don't just watch history, own it, and don't forget subscribe. Let's dive into the hunt. Let's start. Imagine holding a small, weathered piece of copper in your palm that was minted as the shadow of the American Civil War began to stretch across a divided nation. This is the 1860 Indian head cent, a coin born from the crucible of history, where the transition from copper-nickel composition to the iconic laurel wreath reverse created a legacy of value that transcends mere currency. While many collectors focus on the date, the true fortune lies in the rare, value superimposed eras where the word cent or the Roman numerals of the era were struck with such violent precision or mechanical failure that the imagery appears doubled or layered. These specific specimens are not just coins, they are metallic survivors of an era of industrial chaos, representing a time when the Philadelphia Mint was struggling to keep up with the demands of a country on the brink of collapse, making any surviving era a multi-million-dollar ticket to generational wealth. The sheer magnetism of the 1860 Indian head cent comes from its status as a point-of-transition coin, often featuring the elusive pointed bust or the rounded bust varieties that drive the market into a frenzy during high-stakes auctions. When we discuss coins worth millions, we are talking about those pristine, uncirculated gems that possess a proof-like luster, appearing as if they were struck only yesterday despite being over a century and a half old. The value superimposed variety is particularly captivating because it represents a ghost in the machine, a moment where the dies were misaligned or double-struck, creating a visual depth where the denomination seems to hover over the metal. For a lucky owner, discovering one of these in an old family chest isn't just a hobbyist's win. It is an immediate transformation of status, as the rarity of such a mechanical anomaly in 1860 is so high that only a handful are known to exist in the entire world. There is a visceral thrill in realizing that a coin originally meant to buy a simple newspaper or a loaf of bread in 1860 could now purchase a private island or a fleet of luxury vehicles. These bicentennial-era celebrations of our heritage often overlook the fact that the most expensive coins are those that saw the least circulation, hidden away by nervous citizens who hoarded hard money as the Union faced its greatest existential threat. The value superimposed on these cents serves as a permanent record of American resilience, and when a collector finds a specimen where the 1 cent lettering shows the sharp, crisp relief of a doubled die, the bidding wars at Sotheby's or heritage auctions can escalate into the stratosphere. It is this combination of Civil War provenance and the technical perfection of a minting era that elevates a humble penny into the realm of fine art, often fetching prices that leave even the most seasoned billionaires breathless. The concept of a bicentennial rarity in this context refers to the enduring legacy of these coins as they crossed the 200-year threshold of American numismatic history, becoming more than just metal, but symbols of a lost age. Most people walking the streets today have no idea that the change in their pocket's history could be linked to a lineage of 1860 coins that were once handled by soldiers, spies, and statesmen. To find an 1860 Indian head cent with the superimposed value is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of the Great Plains, but for those who do, the payoff is life-altering. These coins are the ultimate sleeper assets, often overlooked in jar collections or inherited boxes because the untrained eye sees only a green or brown disc, while the expert sees the distinctive overlapping of the strike that signals $1 million payday. One must understand that the market for rare U.S. coinage is currently experiencing a gold rush unlike anything seen in the last 50 years, with investors moving away from volatile stocks and into the tangible, indestructible security of 1860 copper-nickel cents. The superimposed value acts as a watermark of authenticity and rarity that cannot be faked by modern technology, as the specific metallic flow of 1860-era copper has a unique chemical signature that speaks of the age of steam and iron. Because the mint was experimenting with different alloys during this period, some 1860 cents have a white appearance due to high nickel content, and when these specific white cents feature a superimposed error, they become the holy grail of the coin world. Owning one is equivalent to owning a piece of the American soul, and the market reflects this with price tags that can reach well into the 7- and 8-figure ranges for the highest graded examples. The narrative of the 1860 Indian head cent is deeply intertwined with the psychology of scarcity, where the absence of a coin from the public eye only serves to inflate its legend and its price. We are currently living in an era where standard circulation coins from the mid-19th century are being rediscovered in the most mundane places, such as floorboards of historic homes or the lining of antique trunks, triggering a scramble for valuation. If you happen upon an 1860 cent, you must look closely at the 1 cent inscription on the reverse. If the letters seem to have a shadow or a secondary strike beneath them, you are looking at the superimposed value that collectors dream about. This is the hallmark of a coin that could easily turn a middle-class family into a dynasty of wealth overnight, as the demand for Civil War eras is at an all-time peak with no signs of slowing down. Wealth in the numismatic world is often silent, held by individuals who understand that these 1860 treasures are better than gold bars because they are finite and impossible to replicate. The superimposed variety is the ultimate evidence of a working die era, where the die was used far beyond its life expectancy due to wartime shortages, resulting in the beautiful, chaotic doubling of the value. Every scratch and every strike on an 1860 coin tells a story of an American economy in flux, and the premium placed on these stories is what drives the millionaire maker status of the Indian head series. You should never underestimate the power of a single cent, especially one minted in Philadelphia in the year 1860, as it carries the weight of a nation's history and the potential for a fortune that could last for 10 generations. To be a guardian of an 1860 Indian head cent with superimposed value is to be a curator of a mechanical miracle that happened in a fraction of a second over 160 years ago. The technical term for these superimposed values often relates to repunch dates or double die signatures, but in the vernacular of the elite collector, they are simply known as the fortune cents. While common 1860 pennies might sell for a few $100s, the moment that superimposed error is confirmed by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, the value multiplies by a factor of 10,000. This is the magic of the coin market. It is a world where a mistake made by a tired mint worker in the 19th century becomes a masterpiece of high finance in the 21st, proving that sometimes history's errors are our greatest assets. The urgency to find these coins has never been greater, as many are lost to time, buried in the soil of old battlefields, or sitting unrecognized in junk silver bins at local shops. The value superimposed 1860 Indian head cent remains the ultimate prize because it bridges the gap between the old world of hand-carved dies and the new world of mass production. It is a coin that captures the bicentennial spirit of American ingenuity, representing the grit and determination of a people who, even in the midst of a civil war, demanded a currency that was as bold and striking as their ambitions. If you possess one, you are not just holding money. You are holding a contract with the past that guarantees a future of unimaginable luxury and influence in the global marketplace. Finally, let this serve as a clarion call to every citizen to check their old collections, because the 1860 Indian head cent with superimposed value is the ghost that haunts the dreams of every treasure hunter. The million-dollar valuations we see today are only the beginning, as the global elite increasingly view these rare American errors as the ultimate alternative asset class. Do not let these coins slip through your fingers or be sold for a fraction of their worth to an unscrupulous dealer. Recognize the superimposed value for what it is, a golden ticket to a life of opulence. These coins are the silent giants of the American economy, and for the lucky individual who identifies the 1860 Civil War rarity in their possession, the world will truly become their oyster, turning a simple copper cent into a legendary empire of wealth. Next coin. Step back into the year 1861, a time of profound tension and the birth of the American Civil War, where the very metal in people's pockets was changing as fast as the front lines of battle. This was the year the United States Mint in Philadelphia was forced to adapt to a war-torn economy, producing the 1861 Indian head cent, a coin that today represents one of the most explosive opportunities for sudden, life-changing wealth. While millions were struck, only a handful of value superimposed varieties exist, where the striking process left a spectral, doubled image of the denomination on the reverse. These aren't just pennies, they are high-stakes relics of the copper-nickel white cent era, and finding one in pristine condition is like discovering a winning lottery ticket that has been agging for over a century and a half. The magnetic pull of the 1861 Indian head cent lies in its unique, fatty composition, a thick, heavy blend of 88% copper and 12% nickel that gives the coin a pale, ghost-like glow compared to the common bronze pennies of later years. For the elite collector, the real prize is the value superimposed era, a mechanical ghost where the 1 cent inscription appears to be layered or shadowed by a secondary strike. This occurs when the heavy steam-powered presses of the 1860s stuttered or the dies were improperly seated, creating a visual depth that numismatic experts value at astronomical prices. If you are holding an 1861 cent and the letters on the back seem to vibrate with a doubled edge, you are looking at a specimen that could easily command $1 million opening bid at the world's most prestigious auction houses. Imagine the sheer adrenaline of realizing that a forgotten coin in an attic trunk is actually a bicentennial rare artifact that has survived the fires of the Civil War and the passage of 2 centuries. The 1861 date is a semi-key date even in standard form, but when you add the superimposed era, the value shifts from the hundreds into the realm of the ultra-rich. These coins are often misidentified by amateurs as mere worn pieces, but to the trained eye, the specific alignment of the oak wreath and the shield atop the coin tells a story of industrial chaos and rare perfection. Every microscopic detail, from the sharpness of the feathers in Lady Liberty's headdress to the crispness of the superimposed cent, acts as a multiplier for a fortune that could turn an ordinary person into a billionaire investor overnight. In the cutthroat world of high-end coin investing, the 1861 white cent is viewed as a safer and more explosive asset than gold or real estate because its supply is fixed by history. There will never be more 1861 coins minted, and as each year passes, the number of superimposed varieties in existence dwindles due to loss or environmental damage. This scarcity creates a vacuum where demand is infinite and supply is nearly zero, driving the market into a frenzy whenever a high-grade specimen is unearthed. We are talking about mint-state gems that possess a proof-like finish, looking as though they were plucked directly from the hand of Abraham Lincoln's treasurer. And when these pieces feature the superimposed value, they become the undisputed crown jewels of American history. The bicentennial significance of these coins refers to their status as the long-surviving ancestors of our modern currency, representing the bridge between the large cents of the Founding Fathers and the small cents we know today. The 1861 edition is particularly poignant because it was the first cent to circulate while the nation was officially at war with itself, making it a war penny of the highest order. The superimposed value is like a secret code of the mint, a sign that the machinery was under immense pressure, just like the country. To find this era on an 1861 cent is to find a piece of the American soul that was double-stamped by fate, and the financial reward for such a discovery is nothing short of legendary, often reaching figures that defy logic. One must look with predatory focus at the reverse of any 1861 Indian head cent, specifically focusing on the space between the oak leaves and the letters of the denomination. If you see a faint tracing of the words beneath the primary strike, do not clean the coin and do not spend it. You are holding a superimposed masterpiece that could buy a mansion in cash. The current market is seeing a massive influx of hidden wealth hunters who are scouring old family estates specifically for these 1861 Civil War eras, knowing that a single discovery coin can reset the market record. These coins have survived the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and the digital age, yet they remain the most stable and prestigious way to hold massive amounts of value in the palm of your hand. What makes the 1861 superimposed variety so intoxicating is that it is a human error captured in metal, a moment where a mint worker's mistake created a unique piece of art that is now worth a king's ransom. This is the ultimate standard circulation miracle where a coin intended for the pocket of a common laborer is now the obsession of the global elite. The value isn't just in the metal, but in the superimposed signature that proves the coin was part of a specific failed batch of strikes that should have been destroyed, but somehow escaped into the wild. Because so few were made and even fewer were saved, the price curve for these 1861 rarities is vertical, making them the most sought-after copper-nickel cents in the entire 1859-1909 series. To understand the 1861 cent is to understand the birth of modern American finance, as these white cents were the first to truly stabilize the small change economy during the transition from the old ways to the new. When a superimposed value coin is found today, it causes shockwaves through the numismatic community because it represents a lost variety that may not have been seen for decades. These are the coins that turn hobbyists into moguls and attic cleaners into millionaires. The sheer audacity of a penny being worth a fortune is what drives the passion of the hunt, and the 1861 date is the peak of that mountain, offering a level of prestige that common coins can never achieve. You must treat every 1861 Indian head cent as if it were a rare diamond, because the superimposed variety is often hidden under a layer of dark patina that can only be identified by a professional. The unimaginable worth of these coins comes from their ability to act as a portable vault of wealth that can be carried in a pocket, but worth as much as a high-rise building. As we move further from the 1860s, the legend of the superimposed 1861 only grows, with billionaire collectors bidding against one another to own the finest known example of this Civil War anomaly. It is a game of patience and observation, where the reward is a seat at the table of the world's wealthiest individuals, all thanks to a single cent. Finally, let this be the moment you realize that the spare change of the past is the sovereign wealth of the future. The 1861 Indian head cent with its superimposed value is a testament to the fact that American history is literally paved with gold, even when it looks like copper and nickel. Never ignore an old coin, and never underestimate the power of a bicentennial rare artifact to change your destiny in a single day. If you are the owner of one of these 1861 Civil War ghosts, you are the holder of a fortune that is both ancient and evergreen, a billionaire maker that has been waiting for over a century for you to finally notice its hidden, superimposed glory.